What happens when an affable late night host, known for carpool karaoke and celebrity charm, faces off against an enigmatic star whose life is a meticulously curated enigma? On that crisp autumn evening in 2025, the stage was set for revelation or rupture. The studio lights hummed softly overhead, casting a warm, golden glow over the intimate set of The Late Late Show. Two plush armchairs faced each other at a slight angle, separated by a sleek glass coffee table that reflected the faint sheen of polished microphones. No massive crowd tonight, just a small studio audience of about 50, hand-picked for their discretion, seated in shadowed rows beyond the bright pool of illumination. Three cameras loomed, a wide angle capturing the full scene, a mid-shot trained on the guest's chair, and a close-up on the host, ready to zoom in on every flicker of expression. The air carried the subtle scent of fresh coffee from the green room and the metallic tang of equipment. A faint wire snaked from each lapel mic, occasionally whispering against fabric with the slightest movement. James Corden settled into his chair, adjusting his tie with a practiced smile. At 47, he was the picture of affable authority, round-faced, quick-witted, with a reservoir of stories from interviewing everyone from pop icons to prime ministers. Tonight, though, a subtle fatigue tugged at his eyes. He'd been up since dawn prepping for this one. His pen tapped rhythmically against his notepad, a small habit that betrayed his underlying focus. Across from him sat Jared Leto, the guest of the hour, actor, musician, provocateur. Leto lounged with deliberate ease, his lithe frame draped in a tailored black jacket, silver rings glinting on his fingers under the lights. His hair was swept back, eyes sharp and unyielding, a man who had built empires on screen and stage while fiercely guarding his inner world. "Welcome back to the Late Late Show," James began, his British lilt warm and inviting as the audience offered polite applause. The wide camera pulled in slightly, framing them both. "I'm thrilled to have you here, Jared. It's been a whirlwind year for you, new film out, tour with 30 Seconds to Mars wrapping up. How are you holding up?" Leto leaned forward, a charismatic smile breaking across his face, though his eyes held a guarded glint. "James, it's good to be here." "Holding up?" "Thriving, I'd say. The road's a beast, but it's where I feel most alive." His voice was smooth, measured, with that signature drawl that could charm or cut. He crossed his legs, the fabric of his pants rustling faintly against the chair. James nodded, chuckling lightly. "Thriving, love that. Let's start light. You've got this incredible dual life, Oscar-winning actor by day, rock star by night. What's the secret to juggling it all without cracking?" A soft laugh escaped Leto, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. He glanced briefly at the audience, where a few phones glowed dimly as they captured the moment. "No secret, really. It's about passion. When you love what you do, the cracks become part of the art." He paused, fingers drumming once on the armrest, a micro-gesture, almost imperceptible, like testing the waters. The conversation flowed easily at first, a dance of civility. James probed gently into Leto's recent projects, asking about the inspiration behind his latest role in a dystopian thriller. "It draws from real-world chaos," Leto replied, his tone polished. "We live in a time where truth is fluid, don't we?" James agreed, his pen scratching a quick note. But beneath the surface, the power dynamic simmered, James steering with his questions, Leto redirecting with eloquent deflections. Shifting gears, James leaned in, his expression turning thoughtful. "Speaking of real-world chaos, Jared, your family's been in the spotlight too. Your brother's integral to the band. How do you keep those personal bonds strong amid all the noise?" Leto's posture stiffened ever so slightly, though he masked it with a nod. "Family's everything. Shannon and we've built this together. The noise? It's just static." He swallowed, his Adam's apple bobbing subtly, a fleeting crack in the armor. The mid-camera zoomed in on him, capturing the way his ring caught the light, a repeated motif that seemed to symbolize his guarded shine. James pressed on, his voice still light but with a sharper edge. "Static, sure. But you've spoken before about growing up in a tough environment, Louisiana, right? That grit must fuel your work." "Yes," Leto said, his response clipped. "It does. But I don't dwell on the past. It's fuel, not chains." His fingers tightened briefly on the chair's arm, the leather creaking under the pressure. In the control room, a producer murmured faintly through the earpiece, audible only as a ghost whisper to James, "Ease up a bit." The audience stirred subtly, a few exchanging glances as the tone shifted. James smiled, but his eyes held a glint of persistence. "Fair enough. Let's talk legacy then. You've been in the game for decades, films like Requiem for a Dream, Dallas Buyers Club. How do you view your impact on Hollywood, especially with the method acting that's become your hallmark?" Leto tilted his head, a sardonic smile playing on his lips. "Impact? I'd say it's about pushing boundaries. Method isn't madness, it's commitment. People love to sensationalize it." He leaned back, crossing his arms, a defensive posture wrapped in confidence. James nodded, his pen tapping faster now. "Pushing boundaries, absolutely. But some co-stars have shared stories about how immersive it gets. Does that ever cross into territory where it affects others unintentionally?" A pause. Leto's eyes narrowed fractionally. "Unintentionally? Art demands sacrifice. If it's too much for some, that's on them." The words hung sharp, an aphorism laced with contempt. The small audience shifted in their seats, a rustle of fabric amplifying the tension. Camera tight on Leto's left eye, catching the subtle flicker. Sensing the pivot, James transitioned smoothly, his voice gaining a moral undertone. "Sacrifice is one thing, but visibility comes with responsibility, doesn't it? You've built a massive platform, fans who hang on your every word, almost like a movement. How do you balance that power with the privacy you so fiercely protect?" Leto bristled, though he covered it with a laugh swallowed midway, turning into a cough. "Privacy isn't a luxury, it's a right. Visibility? That's been weaponized against me more times than I can count. People steal glimpses and call it fandom." His hand gestured sharply, the ring flashing again under the humming lights. James leaned forward, his fatigue momentarily forgotten in the heat of the exchange. "Weaponized, strong word. But let's unpack that. You shared vulnerabilities in your music, your roles. Is there a line where exposure becomes exploitation, especially when privilege plays in?" "Privilege?" Leto's voice rose a notch, edged with defensiveness. "I've earned every scar. Trauma doesn't discriminate by bank account." For a split second, vulnerability flashed, a micro-confession in his tightened jaw, eyes darting to the shadowed audience where a producer exchanged a worried glance with a crew member. The friction built, public and private worlds colliding. James asked about gendered expectations in Hollywood, how men like Leto could embrace eccentricity while women faced harsher scrutiny. "It's unfair," Leto conceded, but quickly reframed, "authenticity cuts both ways. I perform because the world demands it, but I control the script." "Do you, though?" James countered, his tone firmer now, empathetic yet incisive. "Or is it a curated illusion? When fans idolize you to the point of obsession, rumors of cult-like followings, does that authenticity hold up, or is it just another performance?" Leto's response was swift, declarative. "Obsession? That's their projection. I give art, not salvation." He uncrossed his legs, the chair scraping faintly against the floor, a sound that echoed in the quiet studio. The moral pivot arrived like a gathering storm. James set down his pen, his expression composed but resolute. "Jared, accountability matters. You've dodged questions about past sets, allegations of intensity that bordered on harm. Humility in the face of that, isn't it owed to those who shared your space?" Leto leaned in, eyes flashing. "Allegations? Baseless noise. I commit fully. If that's harm, then art is dead." His words were compact, loaded with subtext, a reversal that deflected blame. The audience held its collective breath, phones poised. A control room whisper crackled faintly, "Rap if it heats up." James ignored it, pressing on. "But consequences linger. When your methods leave marks on others, emotional or otherwise, does pride trump empathy?" "Pride? It's survival," Leto shot back, his fist clenching subtly on the armrest. The ring gleamed mockingly. James delivered the final, cutting line, his voice steady and morally weighted. "Survival at what cost, Jared?" If your truth silences others, is it really authentic or just another form of control? The studio inhaled sharply. Leto's breath quickened, his chair scraping as he shifted forward, fist tightening on the leather. The microphone wire sang with tension, the lights humming louder in the charged silence. Jared Leto's breath caught, his fist tightening on the chair as James Corden's final question landed. Survival at what cost, Jared? If your truth silences others, is it really authentic or just control? The studio lights hummed, their glow harsh on Leto's silver ring, a glinting motif of his guarded defiance. His chair scraped as he stood, ripping off his mic. The tiny clip clattered on the glass table. This isn't an interview, it's a trap, he snapped, voice sharp. The mid-camera zoomed on his blazing eyes. James stayed seated, hands steady, though his pulse raced. I'm asking what people want answered, Jared. Leto spun back, boots heavy on the floor. You're chasing headlines, not truth. A producer signaled for commercial, but the cameras held. The small audience whispered, phones up, X already buzzing, Leto's walking. I don't owe you my soul, Leto said, softer, then louder, I'm done. He stormed off, the stage door slamming. James forced a smile. Well, that's a wrap, he quipped, as the audience tittered. Backstage, Leto's manager barked into a phone. Crew swapped glances, this'll go viral. On X, clips exploded, #Corden vs Leto trended, splitting fans. Jared's right, needy is ruthless. Corden called him out. James scrolled the posts, doubt knowing. Had he crossed a line? In his trailer, Leto stared at X, posts a mix of praise and hate. His ring tapped his phone, a restless beat. A memory flashed, his mother's voice, own your story. He typed, then deleted, truth isn't theirs to twist. The fallout reshaped both men. Leto posted a photo of his ring, my terms. No apology. James, holding a chipped cup from the set, saw it inside. The question lingered, who controls the narrative when authenticity is the battleground?